In this video, I'm going to show you how to transform these wheels into these using nothing but a drill and a cheap spray gun from Amazon. So to start off, I gave the wheel a clean and you can see all that damage underneath all of that brake dust. So to repair my wheels, I'll be using my trusty Ryobi drill. I bought the drill attachment and the sanding discs from eBay. I'll leave a link below in the description. So as I can't take the tyre off the rim, I start off by using 2-inch masking tape to protect the edge of the tyre. So the first step is to knock off all the high spots from the damage. To do this, I'm using a 240 grit sanding disc. The key to a really good finish is getting the prep right. So take your time and don't rush the process. Now while you're removing all the damage from the wheel, it may look like it's getting worse, but trust me, it will look good in the end. To repair the damage to the wheel, I'm using some big boy metal filler. This stuff goes off really quick, so I'm just going to mix it a bit at a time. The normal ratio is to use a golf ball size of filler to a garden pea size of hardener. I'll give it a quick mix and apply it straight away. You normally get about 5 minutes worth of working time with this before it starts setting. Once it's set, the first thing I do is generally go around the edge of the wheel. I want to make sure I get the profile right before I start on top of the wheel. I usually start using 250 grit wet and dry paper and then work my way up to 800 grit. And when you're finished, it should look something like this. To prep the rest of the wheel, I'm using a scotch pad just to key the surface enough for the primer to adhere to. Now the prep is finished, I need to clean the surface, and to do this I'm using some rubbing alcohol. You can use thinners, you can also use panel wipe, but the goal is to get the dirt and grease off the surface. To fill in any small scratches, I'm using a high build primer to start with. This will fill in any little pinholes that I might have missed during the prepping. With the high build primer dry, I'm now going over this with a white base coat primer. Using a white base coat will make sure that the finished colour will get a brighter finish. If I left it over a grey primer, it'd have a slightly dull finish to it. And of course, I'm using the correct PPE when doing this work. After 3 coats of base primer, it should look something like this. While I had the wheels off the car, I thought it would make sense to check out the brakes and see how badly they're worn. The good thing about these brake calipers, you don't have to take the caliper off to take the pads out. You simply remove the 2 retaining pins and the retaining plate and the pads will slide straight out. This pad looks pretty worn. Let's see what the other one looks like. So this one's just as bad. Any recommendation on brakes? A quick clean up and the pads go back in. Just for now. With the rears checked, I'll move to the front of the car. And I can see that one of the retaining pins is actually sliding out. So I'm not sure if this has caused any damage to the pad and the disc. The 370Z uses 4-pot brake calipers for greater stopping power. In the animation you can see how equal force is applied to both brake pads when slowing the car down. So to change the pads on the front, it's the same as the rear. You just take out these 2 retaining pins and the retaining plate and the pads should just slide out. You might have to use a screwdriver or a pry bar to force the pads back a bit. This will push the pistons back into the caliper. So make sure you take off the cap from the oil reservoir. And just like the rear brakes, the front brakes also need to be replaced. So if you have any recommendations, please leave me a comment below. And now back to refurbing the alloys. This is everything I used to paint my wheels, including the cheap paint gun from Amazon. Considering it only cost me £30 from Amazon, I don't think it's that bad. And I'm fairly confident I can get a really good finish using this paint gun. Now, I actually don't know what the colour is of the paint in this tin. I actually gave my wife creative control for this project, so she's decided what colour I'll be painting these wheels. And it looks like we've gone for rose gold. For the paint mixture, I'm going for a 2:1 ratio, using 2 parts paint to 1 part hardener. I'm also going to use a bit of rocket activator to make it dry a bit quicker. With the paint mixed, all I've got to do now is assemble the paint gun and we are good to go. I've already given the inside of the wheel a light dusting of paint, so now it's onto the front of the wheel. Take your time when you apply the paint. Give it time to dry between each layer. You don't want to rush at this part of the process. After you've added 3 layers of paint and 3 layers of lacquer, it should look something like this. A quick unwrapping and we can get the wheels back on the car. Let me know how you think these wheels turned out in the comments below. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit subscribe and hit the notifications, and we'll see you in the next one.